As of recently, I clicked on near-death experiences, and I've been just watching people who have had these near-death experiences, and it's really crazy because anybody go into YouTube and type in near-death experience, just watch a couple of them. And it's really odd because I was telling Lauren this literally last night we were watching one of them, and I was like, everybody says the same thing. It's really odd. Like they're all different experiences, but they all come out of the exact same thing. And all of it is that we're supposed to just love. And for the longest time, I've been like, okay, what the fuck does that mean? Right? Because for me, like love is something that I don't feel like was omnipresent in my life. And it was something I've had to like rediscover. I think that's why I'm in a relationship with Lauren, because I learn it from her, because she's able to, not that she has more, but she's able to show it better than I am. And that's something that I'm working on. So you look at it and it's like all of you people say almost the exact same thing, which is we're here to love and we're here to experience. And so, if you look back to before the Big Bang, if we want to say that that's a thing that happened, I don't know if it did or didn't, we can say that it did at this point. But before, when there's just only God's sitting there and God's like, well, this is kind of boring. Like, I'm just here for billions and billions of years. It'd be fun. It'd be good to like have an experience. It'd be good to do something, to experience. And it's like when people say, it's like, the one then becomes duality. And when you start to look at duality, if you look at the world, like if you look at the Bible through, and I'm not trying to say anybody's experience or beliefs are wrong or incorrect, I'm just going to give you my interpretation of it. When you look at the Bible through duality, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But when you look at the Bible through oneness, through unity, it all makes sense. It makes so, and then you look at like the Bhagavad Gita, and you look at all of the Hindus, and it's like, oh, this makes sense. And the perception that I love is, well, first off, I think he does a really good job if you read Conversation with God of explaining this. Because the first time I read it, I was like, oh my God, I feel like this is a God that I've always thought. But when I was raised Catholic, this isn't what was taught to me. And it was actually the exact opposite. So there's God is by himself. He's sitting there. She's by herself. It's by itself. And it breaks off to then create duality, which is two of them. In duality, you have to experience everything. But in duality, I can't show you a quarter and show you the head side without there also being the tail side as well. So in order to have experience, you have to have the good and the bad. Alan Watts, once again, it's like you can't go and you can't thread and create something with a thread and needle and make an incredible thing on the front side without looking at the back side. The back side doesn't look good.
You can't touch the tip of your own finger. You can't bite your own teeth.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Another Alan Watts.
Yeah, and it's like
maybe he's in the room with us right now.
He must be. And so there's the other side to it of everything that you do. And so I had this conversation with my mom, because my mom's very Christian, and we had this conversation one Christmas, and I was just giving her my perspective. She's like, why are we here? Okay, if I'm not following this, if I'm not supposed to follow this book, why are we here? And I was like, you're supposed to experience yourself, because God is here to experience everything. And that's what we are. And so if I recognize that there's a piece of God inside of me, I also have to recognize there's a piece of God inside of you. And I also have to recognize it for my enemies, that there's a piece of God, the equal amount that's in me is in them, right? Yeah. So I have to recognize that in someone else. And so she's like, well, none of this makes any sense. And I was like, okay, let me bring in like the Hindu way of seeing it. When I read the Bhagavad Gita, is basically the idea of God, it's not that God is like up on this pedestal and we're like these subordinates that are under God. It's that God is under and within all things, is basically the way the Hindus describe it, which means like, he's in this water right here. He's in this piece of paper. He's in, my ring. He's on this table. He's inside of me. God is under and within. God is everything. If you add up the entire consciousness of the entire world, it adds up to one, and that is God. But then you go, okay, well, tell me about the Bible and how that relates. And she asked me that, and I said, well, there's only one time that God comes in and says God's name in the Bible. Do you know when it is? And she's like, I think it's, the part where Moses has to go to the Israelites, and I'm not an expert on the Bible, but Moses goes to the Israelites, and God sends him, and God says, he says, who do I say sent me? And God says, I am that I am, which makes no sense unless you realize that it's been translated over and over again. And if you just actually take it and put a comma in it, it makes sense, which is I am that, comma, I am, which is I am that, I am that, I am that, I am that, I am everything that you could possibly see. I am all of it. God is under and within all things. So then my mom says, well, what about the whole idea of, Jesus coming and saying, the only way to get to the Father is through me. And I was like, you realize that Christianity, what we're told is we're supposed to worship Jesus and all of this stuff. But many times in the Bible, Jesus just says, hey, everyone around me can do anything that I can do. The least of you can do what I have done. Something similar along those lines of what Jesus says. And so what he's trying to say to me, in my opinion, is that the way to get to God, the way to get out of duality and into oneness is to become me, which means that I am the perfect example of what you're supposed to be. Don't worship me, become me. And then you will be connected with God again. And so that's my perception of what we're here for and the reason why we're on this journey. I think God just wants to experience great things. And so God is in everything that you see. He's inside of me, he's inside of you, he's inside of your biggest enemy. He's inside of the person running for president that you hate more than anything else. He's inside of the starving child that's in another country. And he's just trying to experience every aspect of the human condition.
Check out some of the videos on this screen that are perfectly curated based on the video you just saw. Make sure you follow me, and I'll see you in the next video.